then I decided it would be best for my wife and myself and my daughter, who was on the way, for me to go in the Army. I served for 3 years and 3 months. I was making $3,500 a month. I was in Germany, and turns out she called me up one day and told me she had cheated on me. So I got divorced and the child support started. They set my child support payment rate to $400 a month. When I got back, I started working and trying to find every job I could. And I started to fall back behind on my payments because I wasn't making enough and I wasn't employed long enough.
In theory, debtors' prisons are legal in this country, but in reality they exist right here in Georgia. The law says that before a judge can put someone in jail for failure to pay a debt, there has to be a judicial finding that that person's failure to pay was willful. Anytime that we are talking about depriving someone of his or her liberty, we really have to make sure that the process that we use to get to that result is fair.
I had a warrant out for me after the first month. I was arrested and I went to jail, and they asked me all sorts of questions. I was never told I was under arrest. I was placed in handcuffs, and I was never read my rights. So I did not know what rights I had incomplete. Of course, I've seen all these movies, but half that isn't true.
Well, I think the Georgia laws are broken. I mean, they're good intentions to help the children, but, you know, you've got a 24-year-old son that still has to live at home because he can't get enough work to pay his child support. And when he went to court, the judge asked him if he'd been looking for work, but he'd been locked up for 4 months. How's he supposed to look for work? This is what the judge told me. And I got a little upset in the courtroom. I said, you know, that's ridiculous. That just makes no sense at all. How's a person supposed to look for work when they're sitting in a jail? And then you get free labor out of them, so the county doesn't pay for it. Nobody's getting anything but further in debt.
I'm not running from my responsibilities. It's the exact opposite. My daughter's about to be 5 years old, and honestly, I love her to death, and I'd do anything for her. Wash your fingers. You don't want to get bit. She currently lives with her mother, and I get joint custody, which I get to see her every other weekend. I'm trying to give her everything I can. Even though I can't make the payments, I try to do everything over here for her.
In many instances, jailing an indigent parent for his inability to pay child support is entirely counterproductive, because a parent can't work and pay child support while he's confined to the jail. So it impedes that parent's economic prospects. But perhaps more importantly, placing a parent in jail separates a parent from a child.
I hope with working in the fields, I'll be able to pay my child support. I don't even keep money for a place to stay. We get paid by the truck, so the longer it takes us, the less money we earn. The state, instead of locking people up, should give people jobs or attempt to find them, because a lot of people can't find jobs. If somebody can't do the job and doesn't want to do the job, then they should be the ones going to jail, not the people who are willing to work.
Good day, this is George McCaslin, coming to you from my home at the Indian Meadows Nursing Center. I am the online moderator for the Dad's House educational group found at the above address, as well as on Facebook. Today we will be reviewing the article on contempt of court for non-support from the child support chapter of the Dad's House educational manual. At the end of this video, you'll see a list of other videos on child support, as well as material that is available in the Dad's House manual. Remember, we are not here to solve your problems. We are here to teach you how to solve them yourself through knowledge. For with knowledge comes power, and with the power of knowledge comes rights. Also, please consider rating this video, as well as sharing it to your Facebook and Twitter pages.
What do I do during a contempt of court hearing for child support? The company I work for laid off over 2,000 people over a year ago. I have tried to find a job, but there are just too many people out of work in my state. I paid as much of my child support as I could from my unemployment, but I needed money for gas to look for work as well as eat. I could not afford an attorney to get my support reduced, and the clerk of the court said they could not help me. Now companies are hiring, saying their ads that if you are unemployed, you need not apply. They will only hire those who already have a job. I saw the report on it in the news. Apparently, some politicians are trying to make it illegal. I can't leave the state to look for work. Aside from it taking me away from my children, child support says I can't move due to how much I owe. My child's mother wants all the money, so now I've been served with papers to go to court to face contempt charges for not making my whole payment. What do I do now?
In today's Mancession, with over 80% of all layoffs involving men, this has created a massive difficulty for those ordered to pay child support. Added to this difficulty, the states do not inform child support obligors at the time the order was established. They, in the event of a loss of income, such as a result of a job loss, that help is available from the state to modify a child support order. What is contempt of court? Stephen H. Giffes, in his book Law Dictionary, defines contempt of court as an act or omission tending to obstruct or interfere with the orderly administration of justice, or to impair the dignity of the court or respect for its authority. There are two kinds: direct and constructive. Direct contempt openly and in the presence of the court resists the power of the court. Constructive contempt results from matters outside the court, such as failure to comply with orders. Another classification differentiates between civil and criminal contempt. Civil contempt consists of failure to do something which is ordered by the court for the benefit of another party to the proceedings, sometimes called relief to litigants, while criminal contempt are acts in disrespect of the courts or its processes which obstruct the administration of justice. The penalty for civil contempt is usually payment of a fine, or imprisonment for an indefinite period of time until the party in contempt agrees to perform his legal obligation, unless the imprisonment clearly fails to act as coercion and merely to punish. The penalty for criminal contempt is a fine or imprisonment for a specified period of time, intended as punishment, which must be tried by jury if post-conviction contempt proceedings impose sentences exceeding an aggregate of 6 months. What to do? The lack of knowledge about what help is available has led to increasing numbers of child support obligors accumulating arrears, leaving them open to being summoned before the court in a contempt of court citation. The following explains what can be done in addressing this issue. If you go to court without an attorney when the court asks if you are ready, it is prudent for you to answer no, and that you do not have an attorney and cannot afford an attorney. If asked further, hold your ground. In recent appellate decisions, it has been ruled that indigents are entitled to court-appointed attorneys when the outcome of a ruling would result in incarceration, i.e. jail time. Sometimes the courts can be tricky and intimidating in their questions. Hold your ground, but come prepared with written evidence. If you are behind due to previous unemployment, you must be prepared to present these items: records of your filing for, or receipt, unemployment compensation, a detailed paper trail of evidence showing why you were released from your employment, of other situation resulting in the loss of income, and what efforts you are making to find a new job and/or obtain career retraining. You should also be maintaining a record of your ongoing efforts in your daily journal. When on the stand, you may have this with you in order to refer to when answering questions. If you cannot make a valid argument for why you are in arrears, you need to have developed a game plan to repay the arrears. Also, go through the same steps of not being able to borrow money or sell non-essentials for cash. Remember, it costs the county over $100 per day to house in civil contempt in the county jail. If you have a game plan to repay the arrears, and can show a common-sense reason for the back child support, most courts will not put a father in jail, even if they find him in contempt. If found in contempt, they will usually substitute probation for a period of time, and this will be dependent upon the game plan adopted by the court on making up the arrears. At the minimum, this will involve making a full child support payment, plus in addition 1/2 payment to go toward the arrears. If probation is violated, it means do not pass go, do not collect $200, and go directly to jail. Note: if there is a potential issue of bias, remember that you can request a change of venue to a different judge or county. However, you should always take people with you to court who are not there to testify, but to act as court watchers, to monitor and maintain their own written record of the hearing. At this link, there is a court watch form designed for this purpose. If the judge is being unbalanced in his or her view of your case, using the info from this form, you can appeal and/or get the judge sanctioned and removed from the case. You file complaints with the state Supreme Court at your state capital.
This is George again. If a father is unemployed and actively looking for work, and if that father is imprisoned on contempt of court for non-payment of child support, then the sentencing judge has done nothing to alleviate the father's inability to pay. Instead, the judge has aggravated the situation by denying the father the ability to seek employment. If the judge is not a part of the solution, he is a part of the problem. Thank you. That concludes a review of this article from the Dad's House Manual. When using the manual, please consider clicking on the Facebook and Twitter links at the top to share this material with those in your social network. There are over 40 million divorced and single fathers in America, most of whom are searching around for help in the issues found in this manual. Also, fathers are a frequent target of the media and politicians, inciting what they think is wrong with America. They blame us for fatherless children, even though 40% of divorced single mothers deny fathers access to their children. They call us deadbeat dads, even though only 3% of those ordered to pay child support flatly refuse to do so. They claim that millions of single mothers are not getting child support, without mentioning that 75% of single mothers never applied for any, either due to them cohabiting with the father or not knowing who the father is. If we are to curb the negative picture presented about fathers, then fathers need to be expressing their opinions on it. You can be doing that by writing letters to your politicians and to the editorial page of local and national newspapers. These links will teach you how to do just that. Consider doing it at least once a month. We cannot make our voices heard if we are not willing to speak up. Consider checking out the Zazu stores or Dad's House and Second Wife Club for items to give as gifts or to express your opinion on fathers' rights. First, we have the main Dad's House store with items of appreciation for fathers. From there, we have the Second Wife Club, also for items of appreciation that you would want to give to a stepmother. Then we have the Father's Rights page, which are items for expressing one's opinion on the father's rights issues. And finally, the Other Face of Abuse store, addressing the issues of male victims of domestic violence. For yourself, take the time to study all the material found here, for only through knowledge do we gain power over our lives. Naturally, this material is available for anyone to use, regardless of what group you are a member of, if any group. But if you have not already done so, consider joining Dad's House to discuss these issues with other fathers and learn from each other's experiences. Naturally, second wives and anyone who knows a father in trouble is also welcome. There is no cost to join and use our materials. Also check out the Second Wife Club for stepmothers.